spinning. All right, we're on.
All right.
And then I always give people a few minutes.
Okay. All right. I was like ready to start.
Yeah,
I was
you're
like,
ready to go.
can't have a millennial pause. Like I gotta get right to it.
No awkward silences or waiting. I always give
Right.
people a couple of minutes to get on. There's already people in here waiting. Hello from Dallas. Hi,
Hi.
Bree. So Bree is one of our moderators, as well as Lacey, and you know Lacey very well, Haley. So yeah,
Yes.
so that's perfect. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yes. Thank you so much. I haven't done a live research session in probably like a year, so I hope I'm not too rusty.
That's okay. It's going to
Yeah.
be great. And I'm going to put this link in the chat, which will be for a document that Haley's going to be sharing. So if anybody needs that, I don't know if my moderators can like copy and paste it, but I'm also going to put a QR code on the screen at some point in case somebody's on their computer and they just want to scan it or however that they want to do it. So let me do that. So that should be on the Facebook and the YouTube chat, right in the comments. Perfect. Hello there. Thanks for joining. Awesome. I mean, it's 8:02. We can get started. This is going to be recorded and saved right onto YouTube. So if anybody doesn't make it or you come in late, you can absolutely go back and check it out. But I'm going to let Haley take over.
All right. Well, thanks, Nikki. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm Haley Gray. I am a credentialed advocate. I'm also a researcher and writer for podcasts. I've been doing that for 10 years now. Well, 10 years next month will be my anniversary. Throughout my career, I've been known as a research specialist. That's what I do. I have a program where I teach people how to research. That's not why I'm here, but I just want you to know that I am legit. I know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of my specialty. And then I'm also the assistant director for Light the Way. And normally Shayna would be our founder, would be here hosting, but she couldn't be here tonight. So I am doing that along with Nikki. And again, just thank you all so much for being here. Tonight, we're going to talk about researching a loved one's case. And that can be really overwhelming at times, and it's hard to learn the right ways to research when you're also learning how to navigate an impossible situation. That can just be overwhelming. So I'm here to offer some practical tools and techniques that you can use to locate information more efficiently. Now we're only going to be able to cover, a few things in this session. At the end, I will be giving a handout, like Nikki mentioned. There is already a copy in the chat, but we'll also be doing a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, and like Nikki said, the recording will be available later, so you can go back. And then additionally, at the end, I'll share more ways to learn how to research. I have a lot of previous videos I've done I've done a way huge variety of topics, and you can watch those videos for free if you want to learn more. So, Nikki, I know everyone already knows who you are, but just in case there's somebody who doesn't, do you want to give a quick intro?
Of course. So my name is Nicole Schmidt, and I am president of Gabby Petito Foundation. Most people know me as Gabby's mom, but I love learning from Haley and other experts in this field and love coming on these webinars. Haley's going to be doing all of the talking today as I am not an expert in this topic. However, I am here to help with the questions and to maybe I have questions of my own as well while Haley's talking, but I'm really happy to be here. So thank you for doing this, Haley. I think it's going to be super insightful for families to hear this information.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here and to share these tools. These are things that I use every day in my career, and I think they're just easy easy ways to learn information. Nikki put this in the chat, but if you have questions as we go, please feel free to ask them and I can address them as we go. Or if you have questions that maybe isn't about a topic at the time, you can save it for the end. And I'll also be providing my email. So if maybe you want to ask a question through email instead of chat, we have a lot of different ways to ask questions. So, with that, I'd love to get started. And I want to start by talking about Google. I think Google is probably the most used search engine. Everyone knows what Google is. Um, there are a lot of ways to search Google, and there are these things called search operators that can help you narrow your search results down and make your searches more targeted. And this can help you uncover articles that maybe if you just did a regular Google search, you wouldn't see in your searches. So I want to show you what I mean by that. So we at Light the Way work with multiple families, and I did get the permission of multiple families this evening to use their loved one's story as search examples. So the first person we want to start with is Brenda Gail Lambert, and she went missing in July 1992 following her son's first birthday party. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I want to show you what a Google search looks like if I just wanted to type Brenda Gail Lambert. That's all I want to look up. Nikki, I think you have to add my screen, I
Yes,
think.
ma'am. There it is.
Okay. I hope everyone can see that. So I'm going to show you what it looks like just to look up Brenda Gail Lambert with no search operators put in there. So here's our first search result, and we get a really big mix of things. So we have the West Virginia State Police, we have a news article, we have Evaporate the Missing, who is a friend of Light the Way, is like a blog style post. We have Facebook, we have Charlie Project, videos, but we're not getting a lot of news articles. In fact, there's just one on this page, this entire page of search results. So what I want to do is I want to use these search operators to narrow my search so that I can find more. It sounds contradicting, right? We're narrowing our search to get more results, but it works. So the first one I want to talk about are before and after filters. So that looks like this. So I'm going to type it on the screen so you can see what it looks like. It's just the lowercase word before and then a call. Oh my gosh, why am I totally forgetting what this is called? A colon or yeah, and then after. So that's what we're going to be talking about. It's that simple. But so we're going to type our search operators directly into the search bar here. But basically what these do is if we want to use the before filter, this shows results published before a certain date. After filters show results published after a certain date. And then we can actually use both of them together to isolate results within a date range. So Google is really particular about their search operator. So you actually need to have before and after. They need to be in lowercase. If you do uppercase, for some reason, it doesn't work. And then you also need to format your dates in a specific way. So it needs to be year and it needs to be all four numbers. And then it also needs to be the next is the month. So if we were doing April, it would be 04 and then the day, and that would be 15. So let's say I want to look up articles about or just search results about Brenda before April 15th of 2020. So what I would do is I would add that search operator behind Brenda Gail Lambert. So what I've done is I put before and then the thing I cannot remember the name of. Why can I not remember this? A colon. I had it right the first time. Oh my gosh, guys, I am rusty. I haven't done a live research in about a year.
Okay,
So we'll do
Haley. I didn't know.
oh
I
my
was like, what
gosh.
is that thing called again?
I was like, colon sounds wrong. No, it is. Okay. So we do Brenda Gail Lambert before lowercase colon 2020 dash 04 dash 15. And so I'm going to go ahead and click enter and show you what that means. So now we're only seeing search results that come before April 15th of 2020. And we're getting some different things that we didn't see before. So we're getting this 411 Gina. We're getting other Facebook links, but we're not getting a ton of stuff here. And that's pretty normal. It's good to play around with these and see what you can learn. We could also, you could do any name here. So let's look up, let's say we want to look up articles that come after April 15th, 2020. I would just change the word before to after. And now we're getting the same results, a lot of the same results that we did earlier, but new ones. So if we go down, we're now getting her sister's Instagram page. We're getting the Light the Way page. If we go to tab 2, there's not a lot of stuff there. You can go to the different tabs. So let's say you did want to just look up news articles only. You could go to the news tab, and now we're seeing a lot more links here. So don't be afraid to play around with the different tabs and see what you're getting. I can even show you the before one and see if we get anything there. And we didn't. So if there are no results, it will tell you. And then let's say you want to look up search results for a different range. So you want to use the before and the after filters at the same time. So let's say I want to look up articles that came out between April 15th, 2020 and April 15th, 2024. So what that would look like is I would do after 2020 04 15, and then I would do before 2024 04 15. And then I'm going to hit enter. Uh-oh, I must have done something wrong. Let's see. Because I tried this before. I'm not sure see, it's showing things here.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Google has a mind of its own sometimes.
I tried this the
Mhm.
other day and it worked just fine. So let's see if I can do something different here. Not sure why it's acting up. Let's see. There we go. I don't know. It was being weird there for a second. But that's how you use your different filters up here. You can do just year only if you want to. You still have to do the full 4 numbers, but sometimes you don't need to do a full on date. You can just do a date, just a year, and that's fine. But see, now we're getting even more links down here that we weren't getting before. So this is why I say play around with it. Do years, do dates, do 1 year range, do 10-year range, and just see what you can get, because you never know. Before I move on, okay, so Christy, Brenda's sister, is here, and she commented 2020 is when she was finally allowed to talk about Brenda's case. So that's why we're not getting those results before 2020. We're actually going to talk later on about a different source that you can use for stories where maybe Google isn't going to be the best option. Sometimes Google doesn't have information because there hasn't been any updates since the internet has existed, and it's in newspaper archives, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can really do any name. here. So, we could just do my name. Well, I don't think, yeah, other Haleys are showing up, but you can see, um, you know, these are just things that have come out between 2020 and 2025. Before I move on to the next search operator, are there any questions that you want to ask about these search results? Um,
I actually
if
never
not,
knew there was kind of like a formula to type in on top to get better results with the colon and the before and after the years. I've always just done the regular
I
typing it and
know.
yeah,
I
it's good
feel
to know.
like that used to be fine, but I feel like in the last couple years, like Google's search results are not the best, as especially as a researcher, because when I'm looking up names, I'm trying to find articles and it's really difficult. And so I have found these, search operators so helpful because it is much easier to find information. Because if not, then I'm just looking through, a bunch of Facebook links and things like that. So I really love these. Um, the next one I want to talk about is called a site search operator. And when I say site, it's SITE, like a website. And basically, this will limit your results to a specific website and domain. So what that looks like is, let's say that I want to search um, one specific website for all the articles about Brenda. So in one of our searches, there was an article from WVVA. And what I can do is I can actually just search that entire website for Brenda's name. And I love to do this when I find articles, when I'm looking through Google and I'm looking for what news outlets have covered a story. I'll keep a little list to myself. So if I was going through those results with Brenda, I would have put, WVVA, and then I also would have put any other. I saw there was an oxygen article, so I would have wrote that down. And then I love to just do a site search for every one of those websites. And then I find every article per website that mentions Brenda. This can help you find, again, articles that aren't showing up in these Google searches. So let me show you what I mean. So if I want to look up coverage on Brenda's case on WVVA, what I would do is I would look up Brenda Gail Lambert. And then I would do site, SITE, all lowercase again, because Google requires that, colon, WVVA.com. Notice I'm not including HTTPS, I'm not including www. All you have to include there is the domain name. And so now I'm going to show you what that looks like. So now we're only seeing articles that WVVA.com has done. And we got 3 results here, which is great. If you wanted to, you could take out the Gail, because Brenda's family calls her Brenda Gail Lambert, but sometimes if you notice here, we just have Brenda Lambert. They're not saying Brenda Gail. So just to be sure I'm not missing anything, I'm going to go ahead and take Gail out and see what I can find. And we still have 3, but it never hurts to play around with adding a word, removing a word. You just never know what you're going to be able to find. I see that I have a question from Robin, and says, can you do searches specific to articles originating in other countries? And that is such a great question. I believe you can. Let me get rid of this site search here. That's not something I've had to do in the past, but I think you can go to advanced search and look up region. And you can then narrow your search results down to those. And there's a long,
Mhm.
long list that you can click here. And you can actually use this advanced search. Let me go back and show you how I got there, just in case you didn't see. Up at the search bar underneath where you have all your different tabs, if you go under tools, which is the one on the very far right, you can click on advanced search. And this is kind of the way to type in a lot of what we're doing over on the search page. But it can be an easier format if you want to use this page. I like the filters just because I'm used to those. But over here, you can do a lot of different things. You can find pages with specific words. You can find, like, you can narrow your search results down. You can do file type. You know, if you wanted to search for PDFs, like we can see if there are any PDFs. And they're not related to our Brenda, but that can be helpful if maybe you're trying to find a court record or, you know, something like that. Um, so I hope that that helps you with doing searches for articles originating in other countries. Later on, we're going to be talking about newspaper archives, and you can also, I can show you how to search for specific countries there as well. So don't be afraid to use these advanced search options. Play around with things, see what you can find. You know, Google is free, so just do whatever you can to see what works. Um, I'm Do I have any other questions about site search or the before and after filters?
I don't think I've ever used advanced search.
I forget because
Um,
it's like hidden.
yeah, that's great. You can search by region. I mean, that's really, really cool. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
definitely.
say hi to everybody in the chat. Hi, Christy, Robin, Dan. It's awesome that you guys are here. Seen some other
Yes.
people from earlier. I don't know if they're still in here. Nancy, Winnie, I'm not saying that right. A bunch of people in here. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. So the next search operator that I want to talk about is quotation marks. So quotation marks, when you use them in the Google search field, helps you search for exact words or phrases. And this can be helpful for finding specific references for things. So I want to show you what I mean by that. So let's say that I want to find all articles that talk about how Brenda went missing after a birthday party. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up Brenda Gail Lambert like normal, and then I'm going to put in quotations birthday party. And this is going to show me only results that mention Brenda and a birthday party. And so if you see here, we have, you know, podcasts, we have the Charlie Project. You can go down, there's an Oxygen, a Yahoo. Again, don't be afraid to head over to the news tab. And now we have multiple news articles about Brenda that mention the party. We are getting way more results over here in the news tab, so I highly recommend going there to check things out. So, and then again, like I was talking about earlier, play around with different words. So I'm going to just do party and not birthday party and see if we get any new results. These look to be similar. Let's go back over to the other page. And again, similar things here. You can also do names here. So let's say that we want to do articles that mention um, Brenda's estranged husband, Raymond. So let's say that I want to look up articles that mention him. So then what I would do instead of party is I would do Raymond. And now we're seeing information here. We may not see, okay, here we go. So we have an article. Again, this is only bringing up things that mention Brenda's husband's name. And again, we can go to the news tab here. So you can do multiple words, you can do a single word, you can do a name, you can do all kinds of things. And I use this all the time when I'm going back through my research. And let's say I did a case that, and we use this as an example in my research program. There's this case where this person abandoned a vehicle, and there was a lot of evidence found in the vehicle. So I often teach my students to look up the perpetrator's name and then put the name of the vehicle in quotations. And then they can find articles that only bring up the vehicle in hopes to get as much information as possible. So it's a really good way to find targeted information if you feel like there's a hole in your research and you want to find articles that mention this very specific thing. Quotation marks are the way to go. And what's so cool about Google is you can combine all of these search operators that I just talked to you about. So let's say that we want to look up articles about Brenda that come after April 15th, 2020, but before April 16th, 2024. And I only want to search for articles on WOAY.com. So let me show you what that would look like, and fingers crossed it works. Okay, so now I'm seeing two articles, and these are both articles that came between April 2020 and April 2024, and they're only from the website WOAY. Again, we could also do, a quotations in there, mention a party. Now we're still getting the same two articles, but if this was, if we had even broader results here, adding in more filters can help you narrow those things down. And then again, you can also just do, you don't have to use after and before. You could just do one of them, and it could be a year. So now we have 3 results because there was an article in 2025. So you can combine all of these together to help you, again, get those results that you're looking for. And all of this, the examples that we're using are going to be on that handout. So I hope that this part has been helpful. That's the end of my search operator section. If anyone has any questions about Google, please let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on to my favorite resource of all time, which is newspapers.com. And I'll just wait a moment to see if we have any questions. In the meantime,
Yeah.
I'm going to switch screens.
Hi, Sue. I don't know if I have ever used newspapers.com specifically. I think that maybe I've searched Google and it's brought me there, but I don't think I've ever, like, went there and used it. So
It is my favorite resource. I use it all the time when I'm researching. It's the one source that I tell researchers they need to have. I've done, I was mentioning earlier that there are some cases that you can't even find on Google. I did a story for a podcast about an unsolved case that took place, I believe, in the 60s, and there is no mention of it on Google, but I was able
Mhm.
to put an entire research packet together only from newspaper articles.
Wow.
So this is a really great tool to use. It does cost money, but you can get a free trial. So let's say you're researching your loved one's case and you want to find all the articles about your loved one, give that free trial and find all the articles and download them, and then you're good. Or never hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm happy to pull articles if you don't want to get a trial or anything like that. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to give my information at the end. But if you're interested in research and you are okay with the price per month, I think this is a really, really great resource. It's my favorite for newspaper archives. So, what exactly is newspapers.com? It's a large online archive of historical newspapers. They have the largest collection. They have over 1 billion pages from more than 30,000 newspapers, and their newspaper articles go back to the 1800s, if not before. And there's also multiple countries. Not all countries are available, but there are some countries, Canada being one of them. So it is a great resource for that. And again, this is so great for if you have an older case where there maybe isn't any online coverage that you're finding through standard Google searches. And these newspaper archives might contain information that's unavailable elsewhere. There are very few pockets of the United States that I have found that are not available on newspapers.com. West Virginia, where Brenda went missing, is actually one of them. No West Virginia newspapers are available through newspapers.com. I think that's the only state that I found. So I'm unable to use Brenda's story as an example this evening. But I did get permission from Leona Kenzie's daughter, Carolyn, to use Leona's story. So Leona disappeared in October 1999. So that's right before the internet really blew up and we had online news sources like the NBC's having online articles and things like that. So coverage from 1999 may not be available on Google, and that's where newspapers.com comes in. So if you look at our screen here, there are multiple ways that you can search on newspapers.com. You can do a keyword, which would be a name. You could also do a name, and like if we were doing Brenda, it would be like Brenda plus a party. You can add in keywords. You can also add in dates, and then you can also add in locations. You can do country, you can do city and state, you can just do state. You can play around with it. And then also I'll get into these other filters when we get into a search result. This is the main section that I use. There's other stuff down here, but this is where I think everyone is going to be using. So let's start by just searching Leona's name without any other type of filters. So we get 110,000 plus matches. That is way too many to go through. You can see we have a lot of, if you look here, you can see a preview to the left side of the screen. You can see a preview of the newspaper, and that is so helpful because it will show you if what you're looking at is actually related to your topic. So we know that Leona is missing, and she did go missing out of Oregon. So we know that this is going to be related to our Leona. And so what I would do is I would open it up into a new tab if I was going to be gathering information. But then we get down here and we have another Leona, and this is an obituary. So I know that that's not related to our Leona. And you can keep going. But I think that these results are not as narrowed down as we could have them be. So what I would do, my personal preference when I'm doing research is I start back on the earliest date possible. So when Leona was reported missing or discovered missing is the first date that I would start with. And the reason I do this is because you can find coverage from the very beginning and you can track it as it goes. And this really helps you, again, narrow down your searches in a way that feels more consumable. Because if you're just looking, we have 110,000 matches here. Some of them are Leona, some of them are not our Leona. So I want to narrow things down. And also, I feel like when I do this, I'm able to find more. So we know that Leona Kenzie went missing on October 25th, 1999. Now I'm gonna put that date in here. We may not find anything that day, but it's good to start there and see what we can find. So I'm gonna put October 25th, 1999, and you can do abbreviation, so it's month, day, year over here on newspapers.com. And I'm just gonna do a search for that. Okay, so we got 2 results back. That's way more easy to consume. Now, neither one of these are the Leona that we're looking for, but that's okay. So we can just go to the next day. And what I do is I click on this little pop-out button. And I hope you can see this on the screen, but if there is an article available, there will be a little light blue box that pops up. If you see here on 26, nothing is showing, but there is something on 25. So you can just keep going, and now we have an option for 27. And again, this is something for Montana. So I would go to the next available day, and I would just keep going until you find a result that you're looking for. Now, if you want to narrow things down even further, we could put Oregon in here. And now we have nothing. So then if I want to broaden my search, let's say I'm not finding a lot on these day-to-day searches. I still haven't found the time yet when they are reporting on Leona's story. And this is pretty typical with the missing persons case. Sometimes it can take the media a little bit of time to catch up. Maybe there was a time where the loved one went missing and then they were reported missing, and then the police didn't tell the media for a specific amount of time. So it is good to start back on the very first day, but keep looking until you find when the media first started reporting. So I'm going to broaden things up, and I'm just going to do November of 1999 and see if we can find anything. And now we're finding stuff, okay? So now we have 4 matches, and these are all the Leona that we're looking for. So we can see that it looks like the very first time they released an article about Leona was on November 2nd. You can sort these by the date. I like to do the oldest date, so it starts me at the very first time they spoke about our loved one, and then go down in chronological order. And again, that helps me see how the investigation progressed. Now, you can also, once you get in here and you see who is sharing these stories, you can actually narrow it down by a specific newspaper. So let's say so if you're researching a case in New York, sometimes you'll get options for the New York Post, and you're like, I don't like that. That's not a legitimate source. That's like a gossipy source. I don't want to look at those. So you could select all of the options you do want to look at and leave the ones that you don't. Like what if I don't know Baker City Herald, but if you were like, I don't like their reporting, I don't want to see any of their articles, you could just click on the Observer. And yeah, so you just keep going through here. I would love to spend more time on newspapers.com. I could literally spend hours. At the end, I'm going to share a resource hub where you'll be able to see me go way in depth with newspapers.com and different ways to use it. So there is more information out there. It's completely free. And if you have any questions, like I said, please do reach out. I do want to show you really quick what a full article looks like if you click on it. So it's going to bring you directly to the newspaper. And this, each one is different. Sometimes you may see something at the end that's like continued on page 2. So then you'd head over to the next page. And if there was a result, it would bring it up directly for us. You can also clip these articles. So let's say you want to save all of them, you just select the article. And this is really nice because if I wanted to take a screenshot of this, I couldn't because it's too big. So with the clippings, we just select the whole thing at once. And then you can click continue. You can save the clipping to your archive, or you could do print or download. You can select a portion, select the same. I like to do this version. Select it all and then save it as a PDF or save it as a JPEG. And then you have all of your articles saved as a photo. And then you can turn them into one big PDF full of all of the articles about your loved one. So there's a lot to do over here on newspapers.com. If you also do the option before where I showed you, you can make a clipping. Let me just show you that really quick because this is nice. If you do the clipping, it will create a text version of it for you so that you can also you could copy and paste the text. So I'm going to save this and let's see.
Haley, did you want me to share your true crime research training website for everybody so they can find you there, or your Haley Gray research?
true crime research training, because if you go to the resource hub there,
Okay.
that's where you will find um, the free resources. I'm trying to find okay, here we go. So if you go to your clippings, which are right up here next to your icon, and if you click on it and you scroll down, usually, here it is, it will create a text version of this for you. So that can be helpful if you want to be able to save all of your stuff and be able to search for specific keywords. So let me go back through here and see. So I have a question from Sherry. If you put quotes around her name, could it reduce? Great question. So let's try that out. So we'll do Leona Kenzie, and then we'll just do 1999. And you can. So they did take that away for just a little bit, and it was horrible. So if you do put quotations just like Google, it will help you, but you'll still get things that aren't a match, like this person, Ethel Leona Kinsey. Obviously, that is a match for what we put, but it's not a match for our Leona. So even if you're seeing one that doesn't, so this one is not a match, but the one above it and below is, keep scrolling down, because you never know if you're going to continue finding the result that you're looking for further down. So again, like I said, there's way more coverage on newspapers.com and other topics, so many topics over on truecrimeresearchtraining.com. If you go to the resource hub, there are so many different live research trainings that I've done, also other webinars. Everything is free. And if you ever have any questions, again, I am here for you. So for the last couple minutes here, before we get to the Q&A, I just want to show you a couple things that I find are helpful research tools. So one thing that we always suggest families do is file a FOIA request. That's a Freedom of Information Act. That's the catch-all term for it. Each state has a different name for it. For example, in Colorado, it's the CORA for Colorado Open Records Act. We have an entire webinar on that, which, like I mentioned, is under the True Crime Research Training Hub, where we worked with a FOIA expert to explain to families how to file for those. And so that is something that is really helpful. If you have any questions, again, let me know. But even if you think it will be denied, you never know what information you're going to get back. We've had families who have received information from the denial. So don't be afraid to send those in. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But that webinar is on True Crime Research Training's Resource Hub. So kind of going hand in hand with the FOIA requests, when you get those back, they're often in PDFs. And sometimes PDFs are not searchable. And I want to show you what I mean by that. So this is a PDF that I have from a case that I worked on. And you can tell when a document is searchable if you can select the text. And the reason this is so helpful is, let's say I have a PDF document, it's 200 pages long, and I'm just trying to find a mention of, let's say, here where this person's name is William. Let's say I have a document that's 200 pages long, and I'm like, I want to see every time William is mentioned in here. So I would do a Control F if you're on a Windows, or if you're on a Mac, it's a Command F. And I would open up a little search box here, and I'd type in William. All right, so we have 2 instances of William here. That's really helpful if you have a FOIA request or any type of PDFs, or any type of document that has a lot of text, and you want to be able to narrow your search results down. Not every PDF comes like this. A lot of the newer ones do, but a lot of the older ones don't. So I want to show you what that looks like. So this is a non-searchable document. You see, you can't tell, but I'm trying to select this text, and it just is not working. So we could turn this into a searchable document, and that's called an OCR. So there's a free website that we can go to called PDF to go. And it's right here. It's PDF and then the number two and then go.com. And this can be, I actually have it as a Google Chrome extension because I use it so much. You can see I used it recently, but you can also use it just on the website. And there are so many tools on this website and they're all free. So, for example, let's put a pause on the searchable text. Earlier, when I was saying if you download all of your newspaper articles and you put them all, save them all as images or even all as PDFs, and you want to combine them all into one, you can actually use this website to combine them all. Look at all these options here. So you can come over here and you can do, merge PDF if you want to merge files, or down here, there should be JPEG to PDF. So this is a really, really great website that has so many options.
And hold on, this is free because I use Adobe and it is not free.
Yeah, so this one is free. There are some limitations, but for everyday things that I do, it has been super helpful for me.
Wow.
I recommend playing around with it. Like I said, I think there's only been one thing it couldn't help me with, and it was maybe because the document was like thousands of pages long. But for the most part, this is going to be free for you.
That's awesome.
You can also, upload a PDF and reorganize the order that they go in. I mean, so many options. So the one that we're going to be talking about when it comes to making your document searchable is we're going to go to all tools, and then under improve PDF files, we're going to go to OCR PDF. And I have this in the handout written out for you, but it's OCR PDF. And when we go here, it allows you to upload your document. So I'm going to download this one real quick and just show you. If I can, there we go. I swear Google is constantly changing where they put stuff. Okay, so let's say I want to show that I want to upload that document and I want to make it searchable. So I put it here, then I click start, and it shouldn't take very long. And it will pop up and it will say, okay, it's ready to go. And you click on download. Now I'm going to open it back up, and now we can search it. We can look up names. So let's say I want to look up the name Brian. Now I can look up Brian.
No, I don't like that name.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Nikki.
I'm kidding.
The one name on there. Oh my gosh. All right, well, I'm glad we can laugh. So yeah, I use this all the time, especially with those old PDFs. It just makes things way more easy to go through. And yeah, so I highly recommend using that website. The last one that I want to talk about is the Web Archive. So if you've ever looked around and maybe you found a link to an article that was, linked in another article, and you're like, oh, I want to read more. And then it says there's an error, it's not available anymore. That's really annoying. Well, you can actually take that link and go to the Web Archive. Can be called the Web Archive. It's web.archive.com. Again, this is in the handout. It's also called the Wayback Machine. Basically, there's more than 1 trillion web pages that have been saved. Not every article is in here. Not every link is available in here, but it's worth trying. And again, this is free. So what you would do is, let's say you have an article, and let me show you what that would look like. So here's an article that's no longer available. So you see we're getting this 404 page. And now I want to look it up in the Web Archive and see if we can find it. I apologize for the name of this article. So we were able to find some results, and the way you can tell results is that it will show you on this bar up here. It's been saved 29 times between May 1st and of 2015 and then 2021. So you can go back and you can click on these links. I tend to go to the earlier ones. And then you'll just want to find, you see how some of these numbers are lit up? Those are the ones that somebody on that day saved this website. So let's just pick a random one. And again, I apologize for the name of this article. But basically, now we're able to view the article, whereas before we were unable to view it. This also works for if you find a paywall. So let's say you are on an article and it pops up and it says you need to pay for this. There we go. And you're like, I don't want to pay $1 to just read this article. Why are they putting unsolved cases behind a paywall? You can go to the web archive and see if it's available there. Again, not everything is available there, but it is so worth trying to see if you can find it. And again, we are getting some results here. So we can just go, we could click on a random page. And sometimes web archive can be a little slow, so just give it some time. And it might load a little weird, but we can now view this article without having to pay for a subscription. Oh, here it goes. You just got to give it some time. It is old. It seems old, but it is really helpful. I use the web archive all the time. In fact, it's on one of my bookmark. It's like bookmarked in the middle. I use it a lot. So this is really great. You can also do even like older versions of websites. So for example, there was I can't remember the name of it, but the other day I was working on a story and the family used to have a dedicated website. It's not available anymore, but I looked at the web archive and was able to see the version that they created, back in the 2000s. So if you find something and it's not available now, but you want to see if it's available, throw it in web archive and see if you can find it. If it doesn't have any results, it will pop up and tell you that there are no results available.
Yeah, Kelly, there's I don't know if we can answer this. I guess it depends on where you are also. My ex has a case that is private. How can I view it? If there's a case that is maybe the county that she lives in or the state that she lives in doesn't share those things, is that something that she can find out from somewhere?
I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. That's horrible. Um, like Nikki said, it depends on each um, location. I think maybe if you in Michigan, I think it would be if you haven't already reached out to a local domestic violence shelter there that could help, or any type of resource like that, who will know how to deal with the institutions in that area. And if they don't know how, maybe they'll have somebody that they can refer you to. That's where I would start. And then if for some reason that doesn't help you, I'm going to share my information at the end, and you can send an email, and I'd be happy to help figure out next steps to see if we can get you some information. It just depends on the state and what they do and things like that. So please reach out if you need any assistance. We're
Great.
gonna run over just a little bit. If you need to leave, like, this is recorded and you can come back and watch it anytime. I did want to talk about ChatGPT and ways to use it. There's not enough time to discuss that, but what I did was when I put together the handout, I put a bunch of information about ChatGPT in there and ways that you can utilize it to help your loved one, a big variety of things. And then I also went through and created example. I went to ChatGPT, had the conversations with them, and then linked those conversations for you to see, so that you would still be able to see those examples. Um,
So I'm gonna just pop this on the screen. I know it's quite large. If you're on a computer and you want to scan this quick with your phone, it'll take you to document that Haley has created. I've also put the document in the chat. I don't know if you can click on it. You might have to copy and paste it, but it should open up I guess it's a Google document, Haley, that will just for anybody to be able to view.
Yeah, and if for any reason you aren't able to scan that QR code, um, and I can, send over the link in a different way. There's all of the things that we've talked about today and additional information about ChatGPT in there. And again, if you ever have any questions, um, I'm always available. This is what I love to do. I have a passion for research and helping people learn how to research. So if you have any questions, let me know. My email is Haley, Haley, Gray, Gray, research at gmail.com. You can reach me there. You can also reach out through the True Crime Research Training website that Nikki shared earlier. And then additionally, with all of this, I also have a program called the Advocacy Blueprint, and this one is completely free for everyone. There are more than 50 lessons in it, and we talk a lot about a variety of things. But it's a blueprint for how to advocate for a loved one. We worked with the family of Morgan Patton, who was murdered. Her parents, Steve and Renee, helped put this together. And we worked with other experts like prosecutors and private investigators and advocates like Nikki, and other families to put this together. And we talk about going through the court system, what that looks like. Do you need to hire an attorney? Do you need a private investigator? And then there's also an entire module on different advocacy efforts, like, for example, these coffee sleeves that we suggest people make. They have case information on them, and you can make 1,000 of them for around $60. And there's so many other things in there that we talk about, like business card size flyers, which I have one right here. These you can get 1,000 for $40, and these can be really easy to hand out. So there's over 50 lessons there. And you can find it at truecrimeresearchtraining.com. It's called the Advocacy Blueprint. Like I said, it's completely free, and we add lessons all the time. But other than that, that's about all I wanted to talk about today. If there are any questions about anything that that I've already discussed, or questions that I didn't cover today, please feel free to put them in the chat now, so that we can discuss them.
This was such great information. You actually taught me a few things, Haley. Although I feel like I could just call you and ask you to do stuff when I need help.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, I love research and finding answers to things, and just figuring out better ways to look things up. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. I don't know about you.
Not any new ones, no, from before, just those couple that we had.
Okay.
We're all good. And how can they get in touch with you again? You wanna give out your email one more time?
Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can reach me at Haley, Haley, Gray, Gray, research at gmail.com. And I'd be happy to help with anything that you need, send additional resources. Like I said, I have those training programs. So if you need anything at all, I'm happy to give you information. I would never charge a family. So please, if money is, don't ever worry about that. If you have any questions there, please reach out. But I am so appreciative of everyone being here and asking questions, and just being here to learn. And yeah, anything you want to add, Nikki?
I'm good, and I am so grateful for you because, now I feel like I can get rid of paying for Adobe every month. Use some other tools that are free, and I didn't know about them, so thank you for teaching me that, and, I'm sure that, we'll see everybody on the next webinar, which I'm excited about too, so we'll see everybody again soon.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Good night.